have we are see afana nyina no ye wo countries ahodo bebre a eba no oil ho dwadi a wo mo very much involved. One of such countries no Iran. Na yenim say on the 28th of February ana afi yehu say Israel and Iran ashase a wo mo attack each other. Now the beginning or inception of this whole conflict within the Middle East, it's just about negotiations and Iran, America, and Israel. If they say one more empese Iran, ebetimi ayesa neman, ebi a nuclear weapons. Iran say one more manufacture na afe one more timi ediabo one more chrono ehobai and afe so one more manfua a war of mine anymore again. A bano oil eho dwadie ene enkomo ahodo ni bebre na no a ewiase nyina no enim Iran ekwan a ofaso a oton oil e de ma wiase ene amaya ahodo bebre se ye ka say a lot of ships one more air carry crude oil across the continent, across the globe, and ye ka say ye affected omo nyina no astopia oil no entimi nko entimi emma, especially from the ones a free Middle East eba ama globally we are seeing no insunsanso ewo ho edema oil no said ne bo yesi eton no ewo we are see dwaman so ana fein so eba no ankrankran man ahodo no nso a said oil no yetimi ekoto eba beton the teachu eye oman ahodo a ye nyina no oil no ye produce kra enye ne dodo musa eno nti ye kasa no pay ben crude oil one of the indicators globally ye set for the benchmark crude oil no quite be necessary ye faso a ton no in terms of a barrel amaya hodo ni nyina no ye betimi enye bi egiso ana fe ye wo the West Texas International benchmark eno America benchmark wo mo ede ato ho a ye hwe ede trade crude oil around the world enti say ye ka say globally no affected by the challenges and issues happen within the Middle East. Stay with us. Na yenewo eni enkomo. Dr. Riverson, Chief Executive at the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies. Oba Ghana Hanoma companies ahodwa ene womo eton fuo ne nyina no edema ye no womo enkabomuko no ono ene panyipa oda anope yene no eni enkomo na yemisa se the AC in the Middle East esunsanso a ewo ho edema oman Ghana nso no ene say doc otimin kan opeye good morning empom to saying hello doc otimin kan good morning. Okay, and say we'll come back to Dr. Riverson na yene no edin komo na yebisa say oba my Ghana mo a ye wo mo aye from BDCs and no companies ahodo a wo call ekokra crude oil no and a finished product no ediba o my Ghana mo omo de ba na afi the oil marketing companies filling stations ahodo said ye nim o my Ghana mo no omo nso akotu e free BDCs ne ho na afi omotimi ababeton ewo filling stations ahodo said e meya utwam na o car no eho hia se obeto fuel a okọ filling station bia obetimi enye bi ato but crude oil petrol diesel ni nyina no ye refine into such product where we are seeing nyina no kwan a ye fa so a ye ton no eno ho enkomo ananope ye ne wo edi challenges ahodo a so far eba as of this morning say ye ka say no we are say crude oil no bent crude oil no ye ton between $92 to $94 per a barrel and no the global standard benchmark. What it means is that for last week Saturday eba besi ene na watch pepe ni Israel ene Iran and Tokwano efrase no ebo no emu etimi apeja as of ene 7th March eboa wiase dwaman so ye ton bent crude oil de emma wiase nyina no eno no afei oba no the West Texas International benchmark America mine etimi determine no and also omoton within $90 to $91 per a barrel. And what it means is that America no neboa wadeje no quite different from the OPEC. We are seeing now no crude oil. my ahodo a wɔn nyinaa no edi ho dwa no deɛ wɔn nso ɛka bom a wɔn nso so sɛ ɛsɛ yɛde barrel biara no ɛgye no America deɛ no ɛwɔ fam kakra. But the question is that analysts any nimdefo bebree naa no aka sɛ deɛ ɛkɔ so ɛwɔ Iran ne nyinaa no ɛyɛ sɛ America man no ɛboapa ɛpɛ sɛ Iran wɔn oil a wɔn tu no wɔn tumi nya akwanya na afei wɔn tumi ɛfa emu dodoɔ na as to say that is the intention behind it and now deɛ wɔn akama wiase ate sɛ Iran manufacture nuclear weapons. However, say yejai Iran mano saa weapons nyinaa no ewia the world entirely wiase nyinaa no at risk ade a ebetimi aha ye nyinaa no eno any the main objective ntia ene Iran strikes ahodo a yehu ne nyinaa no yehu ya na again the retaliation Iran so edema America and Israel set ye kasei no American bases Israel Asrafo base a womo abie ewo mama ya hodo so ewo Middle East ho ni nyina no Iran so egu so a I mean womo air to bombs any ade ede ekoho endra ebesi anopei Hezbollah womo eye enamfofo edema Iran enso etimi ato topaye ede akọ eye the United Nations, I mean, interim force, womo de hwese Lebanon and Tokwano, emu ensheda MPJBM. Ghana, a soldier for, and I say Asra for a kaho, omo base. Baby Asra for no etia, womo edi omo jumano, womo timi ato bomb, edi akohonoma. And Ghana's commission to the United Nations, at the statement about the Ghana Armed Forces as well, so the statement ni be ede aba ye making kind ni nyina no ede amount anopay enti ne tenten ni tietie ni nyina no se entokwa ni nti no crude efrase a kosro but Ghana ya ready say ye betime a sustain I mean petrol no any diesel no nebo say utie President Mahama last week wabro call Tanzania omampanyin asema oka ye ne say ebibre mu ha de esese ye nyina no ye boy aboso mo said ye be ya enema ekoso ewo Middle East no ye betimi eho kwan a ye befa so a enkonko ha ye economies no bebre but question a ye bebisa no pay ni say ya boa ye ho say oman a ye betimi ahwe say ensunsuaso no entimi enkonko ye kese bia te said ye hu eye COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine war no edi no. Yabeba Dr. Riverson so na yeneno edi enkomobium. We are just working him through the line in Sakana na yeneno edi enkomo. But before that, the honorable member for Akimoda, the honorable KUSI Akwa Atinase Mame Emanachi na Memano Akwaba. Honorable, good morning.
Morning, Binuya.
Happy anniversary so.
Happy anniversary to you too.
Thank you. Now what you not say? Nima what to say?
Oh, now what we Nima bebre na akoso. Mini ka fenchi akasi ma ahefo ne adehye watch moda o madaromanti. Metiha. Now what you know Nima bebre na akoso.
Okay.
Back in Parliament, you know, yetwa ye State of the Nation address debate so and independence so ebebu. But before you ever call debate, so seriously, some of the minority members, it was a more Eastern region, cocoa growing areas, DB.
Okay.
And they, for cocoa for, Ekudin Saboswa. It's science, Abayi, war the state of denial, or partially say, 2005 our day, ma, Equiafor, no. Earlier, I said 3,500. Now what much year? And until now was your call afford an answer.
Is that really the case? I mean, the Otukono car, you know, and I say a misrepresentation.
Exactly what he said. And in fact, you know, a lot of others have also said the same.
Okay.
Utie your colleague MPC Bikuanwa, Omutimi can openly. Omuya nomenya quine actually say, Niena cement to do 3,060 meters.
Yes.
And then 2005.
It will top because a near man
as if we say Obiado Cocoa the construction company. As if say Yen Cocoa for them. Obodo Cocoa. Nkwa a jumo yina and so Cocoa no majiscano, no more they change the money into cement. It's not tenable.
But we are talking about the living standards of the people. You were kwanya ye faso shese man for na sitine mono and yema air kose.
Yes.
enti indicators bebre na no ewo ho a I mean eno no yesisudua yehwe.
That's it.
Again, say macroeconomic indicators no stable. With inflation with exchange rate inflation and exchange rate comes in because of mine we produce more. No do na no yekra. Enti se sa niema mienu ni ye niema ejina faako for a very period of time. Na I mean Ghana ni no kwa o wa hotoso say at least niema ne bo no say ye pejam kra en contentem sa again the all cran niema ne dia ba no obedru porter Ghana exchange rate no cedi ne dollar no at least and also affecting the taxes in terms of exchange. It is a saniema way in our bar. The reflective effect in say show some call abonte some cotadia as a semi who say adiane buono either say a jina faku a jina and I say a swate kakra. Say Ghana no experiences is it not right for the government spokesperson to say yes sika me de mawe it me ABCD say uko drama in so
Minia, ye bedru ho, a topics a bed discuss no. Nemum, the America can say, maybe ya quite a year debate no. But the two must say, ye quick for hono. One more car say, Sebe, the cano so tiano, a ye dear air there. And ye naman penny, Ofia sientena ketiaso. Now on take vice president in the so, on chief of staff, no man from my staffers, out to Kono, a kahon. Now on to bia ketiaso. What does it? Because Sabri senior staff of Cocoa board for the actual 10%, and the executives will say about 20%. Ye nimu say, Omon Preso, ICU Preso, Woman Casa, you have one so and Preso, and so Omedia Mefe, at the says Council. Ye better you are more covered the buyer than Wachinaba. Ye man penny and in penny food nara at your market yaso. And no, ye MCECG, Sika, not as a Wajis canoa, and ya cry. And then what would the boy so
but I don't know was the entire economy. Economy no ebejina entirely. But we are talking about a particular sector, which is the cocoa sector. Being affected.
But the party says economy the year dia and Casabri was your so cocoa for no asing. Because you see, these are a group of people for a very long time before independence, pre-independence. What would you who a so of money a bois a building wa minor. It is a minor bedu pempes will be and now says say you medina bedu pempes will be ne or mine say when ya hot so will go the mua unto win train na kwa ye or confu boni awata yade for him na yade for them woo na wakofa confu papa ba was me mu what does it kokwe kwiafo because we should also begin thinking say Senior Governor of Bank of Ghana can brad na on my by moment I say gold na yedi near to swallow. A limited. A finance product. Unlike cocoa, I saw ya saying a boy ya beduza bembeswe. What I say? Unlike cocoa, I saw ya seeing a beduza bembeswe. It is a ya yibri na ya ma equiafo no any ania. Sabi, be few num e de cocoa. If you be na obey cocoa wajuma as we fiase ate. It is a nano ye said near mamma when near. It truly said Galam says so at the quanche near your ma wa two efrefe one more. Brana a bonny yempo, Galam say for a dada of this cacasia dada woman. 80 Galam say no, you see two a do baby a best sano. And no after ye babe encourage and crop no omakum. It is any a ye pencil. Ye kufua penso koko hu sembe ye basa na eboye teso nenso ye pe kwan bi so masen senia na anu a bank fo adwuma ye a wo ye no wo manye ni ye ni ade a banks ye say eguo na ye mpese beguo ti ye pesika e de share wo masen no sara ana ye hwehwe se be ya makoko fo no it is a wanya ma no na se wanya sempa bi anka nkyere no na de obeka ne se Sika mosebode ma wo mo no eye esen de ne ye de ma wo mo no a sebe na ye nkasa ye etino sa economic indicators are wo dia to dwani nyina no minia
me boy no am because as of March ya do pay ye de nkomo with inflation 3.3%. Month on month, Ghana Statistical Service, Emma Wuhu, the air cost, offer food basket, I mean regions, enema bo said the air content near the so gradually it keeps coming down. What it means in SSC some level of stability in the economy. Isn't it appreciated enough? They are buying in the last 1 year and 2 months. President Mahama Eba office. Oh, say
ye desa economic indices in Beka Samoa. Aya na ekemu kakra. Because minya sa food basket in Yamane wo we have choices. We can decide to say we will go for those products and services or not.
Okay.
But any maybe any choices wo electricity. I call for more and I say I cost. And maybe any choices wo rent. Why not say the rent? That's so. Why not say rent and cost? So no matter the rate of inflation, the economic indices near the nano. You will see the die in fear petty ho. 1 year one only maintenance no. I feel be our tomb. Eti kuyanino anaso jumanino eni wo biara wono no eye na djuma no wo hu se wo be hu se wo ye dem nkoda bonten obeda dem eti se afiera atodi dem school fees and school fees be dey see ateso afi bia ye to school fees mu obi aso percent ba ko school eti se mi sa ekai na da meso a me so be banchi a meton no manya no me so metum kakra.
Okay.
So they say, it's economic indices in there. If ama ye narrative no, it looks good. Ghana is attractive. Will be our economic indices no case biado. What are the nije? But yeah, as politicians in there. Say obi owo abamu baka. Obejina TV swaka. Okofia no kusu.
Because
because you see, at the end of the day, no. At the end of the day, no. Nipa omodan wo no. Obi intimidate me.
Why they intimidate you? See for mommy.
Nipa no a omodan wo no. Enne menua. Nipa bi wo ho no mo a. Sebe first no. Ofre me am to be fa call easily.
Okay.
Enne ofre me na me dwane because enka first fairwe wo mu ko ntimi nsere wade. Enne nipa ntimi ka say emu aye de me so bo am kakra. And we politicians are man for that no. And yet tin yaw. Enti ubetimi ahihye ne kama wakrata so manaye but a form etesai and then nipa nyina esu wo bia esu.
Okay. Honorable Mesanso Abasobi enti the honorable member of parliament for Akimoda Alexander Kwesiakwa ana ote say or kasano on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party, but my member na member the former member of parliament Edema from Plains the honorable Betty Crosby Benson. Member na member na kwaba. Honorable, good morning.
Good morning, William.
Na empomo to say.
Ejada dom mi ojide se boso mo hoye pa.
Kedi ampo adaro ma.
No intimidation.
Oh, more beautiful smile, honorable. I'm not sure they will intimidate you. Happy anniversary as well. Yes. Now, Jesse trend, you know. Mahusa akoswa for the whole week. Mano moire mo ho to Jesse Nepal. Maminti okakra on Ghana's anniversary na afeye nto aso ni nkomo.
Milia ansana yebetwa nkomo no so. Say wo say mabamu late kakra.
Yes.
Ame fasa akonya we na me chia na me ma shout out to me ankasa me chief of staff. Honorable Julius Deborah. We juma so kwa wo ye de ma Madagana. Anope ne promotion, the acceptance, the commitment to recreation and wellness unprecedented. Meka KUSI say anope ye ne Ghana Millennium Marathon for ye ko 10 million Ghanaians and 1 million Ghanaians and wo call marathon run ewo Legon Sports Stadium ho.
Okay.
Ye papa yi anya gidi ababet se na daje abet na yemu se ye hina no wo encourage Ghana mabum empenifo sabe disability and both able and people with disability say hina ye mfa ya ho de ye mbra meka ho send ye be ya we can fight issues of non-communicable diseases.
Okay.
Me say papa no aya de enti me fa sa akwanya we su na mabona baso and na hooray Ghana at the 69 years and particularly no me de say on this very independence celebration yenya onimdiefo president papa my papa etsi akunyaso awo tutu niema se ne be ya ye age no ene ye ho no be den ebese esan se mmiri bi atwam no na ba bi aga na gina na enye krokrokrokra na wohwe economic indicators na menua be mamankasa menua kwasi etna ha wo ka say we don't even need to consider it na nka me yegide say sa eye 3.3% inflation rate ya ne Ghana for ye the best economic management team and what system nim what matimi just say historical e bi esikra etwamu bebre awmabo modi anka MPP abanso na sade we si ya no gide say nka mbesa ye cake won betwa cake fufuro aka say hey let's celebrate a single digit inflation about 3.3 into no say Ghana 69th anniversary say ye boy ye ho abaso ye boy ye maame no adwadifo abaso ye political leaders ye papa president Mahama one na point is abaso say wo mabom ho modin say abant omambo tantan na ewo ho obabeji ye Ghana for dodo na anya agide wonimu with over 54% ka say papa baby ane ma akono ye ne ye nuanu nya adwenti bra na beji na ye niye maye enne ye heard dollar to cedi rate bibia koso boko there's some level of stability in the system ye hear inflation na ye ken no so ade no ho and make media house bia MPP ni communicator bia the first no ka ye cocoa prices abanya so me say me de bia some make can say MPP why ye mobo dodo kwasi why ye mobo you are holding on to strong and because of that no what mama na dane nkontompo ene ndada baby ayenyi edu no baby amenu yaba bedu e wa mambuom no or he still a sitting member of parliament me so me a former member of parliament ye policy makers ye ka ho na ye direct na ye buama amambuo ne de agina ne naso nti edu sa opportunity bi na platform bi ti say ye nuanom ye platform ya ONUA TV ne so I say ye tumi use platform ne educate Ghana for na ye kiro na enema e koso se ne be ya eye mentime ho ase bi e be kwa kosi won nka ye be de e mbakra ebi ni se ye wo man we munua na MPP aban e wo so that time na world cocoa market price per ton $10,000 per the regulatory body no na nka e say aban no cocoa board e make sure say per bag bia ye ma eye farmers no 70%. At that time MPP and to me meet that requirement and no crumpa regulator na state no they were not able to pay them 10%. Cause omo tiom say 10% na and come up ye from say 70% na come nya crampo no be 7,000 ho de so mo ye den wo munya. Na MPP at the time they were paying per farmer per bag 3,200 Ghana cedis. And no end this manifesto ye gina chire ka said abio MPP aban any cocoa board at that time ACC Ghana for inti say nyankopon ye yadom ne ye nya sa akwanya na eye regulator na asem na wo ka ye 70% ne de ye be make sure say Ghana for farmers no be den wo mo sabeka no kra ye do say eyoyo aban ne ba ye ohu say cocoa prices ye no pe e no mo increase ye e ma na cocoa price ti mi ko ye ko do 3,600 Ghana cedis me ne na o Ghana ha. Unfortunately, global market prices on cocoa apart from drastically eswati.
Yes, but at the time I'm making that promise, no, now we are aware of the fact say global prices no enough fluctuating as and you know more making that promise, knowing very well say a born will we see drama so ya dear and then na mo control no. At least so we make say you should have been mindful of the promiser. Namode magana for no at the time.
Minia medawase ene ni awaka. Asema wo kan say na fluctuate. But at that time na global market na eyahe. Na fluctuate but na eyahe. Wonim yemfa ose baby anokure no yemfa nokure no ye de ento ho. Say ekosoro na woma eye farmers no the right rate now. Say about from now we can always educate them. We can sensitize and let them know say we are with them at every point of the day. Me patrot in America. But the global market no was so. Now you are still your friend say I said what boat my dream probably say who pursue sisi Ghana kwafo. Into the send there fata say with the man one fire day amount. Nemo my buy ye na minia global market and I declining na akofo mo. So when I will promise you baba make sure the interest in the beauty of it. The beauty of it and they say
the record the beauty of it and they say cocoa season biano se untimi mpagya bo ni ma menyina baby egina se mo na mo set the first record se cocoa bo no mate e de aba from downgrading it eno no ya de a e kotia mo ban yi se
nya bibi ankunti aban we eye NDC aban is on course ni ame person make say gone were the days na ye nuanom wo mutimi kobo bosia ebe take care of recurrent expenditure Patrot in the American Aban say let's live within our means. Say no ni aban irrespective of other contingencies, other administrative costs, transportation, near cocoa board near ni na aban say that you who say world market no prices na conform into even 70% they are ya kosoro aye magam na cocoa farmers 90%. Minya where you buy or dream now man for home. When it comes to world market, now Ghana is not independent of it. What in the American we are part of the global market. It's what it means. I say, yeah, decided on our own. So, even though the world market is at this rate, yeah, Ghana for the year pay and the be near where I
okay.
It's about the sana we will be destabilizing our economy. Ghana here the me enkunenim. Now American say, eh, 69th anniversary year independence. Ghana jina 9 papa so ye hinano so ye say going forward now sana Ghana be 70 years no. What the papa bia we can all be very proud of.
Very well. It's the honorable Bettina Otenin Kano. But Mamin Kodamine a year Dr. Riverson upon any commemorate chief executive at the Chamber for Oil Marketers, oil marketing companies. Now Yembisa say what is really happening on the ground, say ye kasa no pay oil prices at the pump no efrasia air koso. As of this morning, petrol mehu 12.3, which is 12 cedis 30 pesos, baby so a year 12 cedis 50 pesos per liter. With some of the filling stations I came across and sana me baby drew studio her. Doc, Otemenka, good morning and Pomo to saying.
Good morning, Opani Yamadom Boko now as well.
Erade di enkwache yenso ye ho ye. First of all, mame ena was say anope YIE so. But tell us, the ACC say the window of price and I mean, internationally, you determine crude oil no nebo, and then the current issues are AC in the Middle East. Where do we stand currently as a country in terms of our energy sector?
Right. It's the correct. Let me say before you be a year window pricing or selling window no. Which was from 1st of March to 15th of March, Yeah, ma, Abushafonia and to say already in Qatar international benchmark price na cost that. So we are expecting between 3 to 5% for the product of diesel and petrol. Shall see Sunday, 1st of March, that day now, so now, Iran. Israel attack Iran. As you see, say, so here petroleum price now, you're moving from 70 to 90 within a week. In Tokwai and Jaya, you bet me $100. And see what so here flat price now, determine pump price wana. Moving from 700 about even 1,000. That's a huge rise. Anka your mindful phobia as a by now crown anka your food no crown can do 15, right? Because of the spot prices. But so where you window na idea you mana and now say boy kakra because your very big pricing window and selling window. Fangwa ye turn on or filling stations no na fangwa ya price dada last week and said you be see this week more it's now over here pempi say full price to come from I say I want to mo boss my kakra na ya my price here before as an ever form. It is the same thing. Yeah, because of price is low and it's now who's the price na stable no. But here from the next window no, ain't me and then cap because see a window where you woman no. Be 3 cities, crown island, abeka home. It's out of now when the credit swap. It's a cabana, get on be 15 cities. But we are now within a pricing window which will take effect of a selling window from the 16th of March. Not the one.
Okay. And Doc, Fire FM just, within about 2 to 3 minutes, ma yehu kwanya fuwa no yefaso determine nebo. Sir, the BDCs no aircraft fuwa no edeba. OMCs no ekokofa. Kwan ben so ana yeshisha buo no magane ni no etime eto at the respective filling station. And again, the AC or middle AC in so ben ana ebenya ewasa pricing indicators modest set prices for the pump. The no.
All right. Yes. Mate say ebi come for security, energy security concept.
Okay.
E wo hosa, see amikasa Australia for almost the gallon. O de YouTube see Australia Melbourne. Almost the gallons they got fuel every year because they're going to experience huge fuel shortage. Abanesa because almost a country beer, and I said that area of it, that angle of the world, no, almost depending on this Strait of Hormuz here and then ASEM.
Okay.
But so wherever be a Ghana, you find free, you find free that angle, no. Yeah, you're going to be bringing out through the western coast of the energy market. That is the European market, the American market, and the likes. And I even quite Dangote out Nigeria two shape now between 5 hours to 6 hours. What do her? What I say? 18 ama Ghana who shortage no shortage there. You be who beer, ne beer prices na a bebano na Ghana for intimate na Ghana for betomato. Na Australia for tomato, it's a na emaha. But as I speak your vessels cram for a sunlight. Ebe my fango for the next 2 to 3 weeks or even 1 month. Eti in Ukraine supply shortage there, me who be here. But also buy your mama want to say BBC. You fancy mo what I said. But yet me free prices no so. Say food and no sunlight no ano. Say Dangote wo ye 300 say obatoma ye cheap. Obatoma ye the international determined price which is already going up. Like I said, a free 700 echo above 1,000. And one me ana determine ye prices no. Okay. Send ye seed e behave. Nyamia dom ye seed na is stable for some time. So over here cry fuel price above from February stable la ma abankra cry me the one seed there abe kanwa my send be fuel price to be what has you me only say seed na then abon home but international benchmark prices na obia ntimi emfan to no adwa enka say me na me control no e oga na ha be see e kasa idea akoso enti prices dey e be cost. We don't know if we here your taxes and levies are buying. It was a special petroleum tax. Your what do you call it? Energy sector recovery. Yes. Any fuel marking, you bust margin. This time man united. Ebe can't fuel price night. You turn mama home. So hima and I make that say, your far SRF no free BDC because BDC is going to talk free. IOTC. Yeah. IOTC is an international oil trading company. What I say? Omoto free wa na ye OMCs na yakwa free BDCs wono e tank mo e dey buy a free station na ya ton. It is all have value chain there. IOTC, BDC, OMC na ba me no we ho ya ye to go ye card as ye generator mo as ye factory mo. Tax ni na no bebre na an ni na no you tua free OMC go side because any tomamo na ye tua taxes and levies na den ama ban ni MP ni obia ne hongo bia but see I can say aban taxes and levies no constant.
Okay.
See me can say CD no me can say vary bia but bibia be man ya kosro pa international benchmark price, which is the plateau ice.
Okay. Now, before I remember what corner, there's a very important question. Ghana, I mean, ye too crude nibi ewaha. The talo ewa keep 3 point near the no very important. Again, to amayati asese omo ankasa efrasea omo refine. Worst case scenario, Ghana you bet me self-sufficient by saying so okay, so we are see drama in buono kosra. Let's turn attention to the yeni ankasa yewo na yen refine na yeni ankasa yen ton my man for. Is there a possibility of a sort? You bet me the aye juma in that effect.
All right. See dear. To ntimi meet the demand country no war.
Okay.
A bit me then abwaye. Sentio ho. See America say you ever be net importer. Ghana ye net importer of crude oil product. That's above 65-70%. Importable crude oil. And the akano ye local refineries say wa need to abeka hu air boy. The market, the petroleum market is so different because so where a talu ya okanye talu project omo to omo kudo yo no mo asana omo tu if it be FDI FID before final investment decision no na eso hu babia oil no ere eko unto oil and train market unya market asana otu fango intikatalu oil block no anya omo buyer ana market asana omo tu a na ka say omo tu agu ho atwe se to beba na ti no edin se o market omo determine no ya go je from nsem se to abanti fabre to memum Ghana wo 13.3% ewo mu me say Ghana share no na me say GMPC any aban transaction say ye share na ewo mu no ye fa ma to Ghana share ye me no dia ye fa koma to na to en refine it but you can say two oil to oil now to nya dia nyini na ya dia o 13% fe na ewo mu ya ka nyina ye investors na dia now on ka say 13% no kwa no nya fa koma to so mo refine it. How can you go and tell someone for them come out to non-refine it? It doesn't work like that. The same for Sankofa. So to then go to ADC, not refinery ready. It's not NMPC for more product, more refining.
Okay.
What is it? The local refineries gives you supply security, not necessarily price security, because price is not here. Say if I say tell the property and say omo de okudo on be mawo e to say refinery omo fa mawo cheap because omo to no ha when price every 70 ko 90 omo ga say price ko 90 to me mawo 60 because a local that be still na omo 90 no it won't say o to 90 no na still na o magana for cheap abra even the international market is there. Supply security is very important and we are always reactive in this country. They see and can see Europe and can because when you find go be free and can see baby you find go free and can just you be blessing the Australia for every and the question was say who here pa na pempi about frame meeting only when there's a war. We need to have a plan. We need to have a strategy against the geopolitical situations in the world that you and I have no control over. And it's not overdue. And then back your price. Then I buy free one. If you 12 or 15, cost 17, cost 20, then I buy free one. What I say no, obetes one Obama consumers who want to now you say 1 city and so be 369 then else we find go price and so on. Where you might say you discuss now you pen 2 people so. Almost 1 city neighbor can say any sunset clause. And then a cost are you going to go back to parliament and give a sunset clause?
Okay, so I mean clearly, what it means is that na idea ni ma eba no Ghana for do na enhwe nim ye nyina ye nhwe nim say fu ne bo no emu ebetimi apeja regardless exchange rate ne ye no because of the AC wo we are seeing no emu bepeja pay all kind of routers they are projecting say I mean barrel no ebetimi apeja from $120 up to $150 per barrel and no any projections are or more air. So clearly, Ghana ni bi tie wa eyade a ɛsɛ sɛ yɛ nyinaa no yɛde to yɛadwe mu sɛ nneɛma a ɛsisi ɛwɔ Middle East no I mean ɛsunsunsuansoɔ no yɛbɛhu unless say aban take a deliberate policy.
No correct.
Okay.
And routers count 120. I mean, we are dreaming brave. But now so yeah, ejina reporting ya into Hawaii asubeti.
Okay.
So okay news na fe interest ebeja na. You may have 1 week cry ebe boy na send baby but within this 1 week no price no dey ebe cost rupa.
Okay. And Ghana, no, you expect to say hit 15 cities or more per liter, right?
Oh, yes, for sure. 100%.
Okay. Doc, Anope, I'm grateful.
Thank you.
But I say, and Dr. Riverson, upon a chief executive at the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, COMAC, and Anope, Yanino, Eddie, and Komono. I mean, so the ACL will be say drama and so no I don't know. My member Honorable Lazada KUSI Akwaso. Honorable, yes.
Before I call oil in Seminole, in your bay casino. On kind who say Yera, the Nado Danko Kufa do back to Akunyasono. Kuku Buono, or Mumbifia Kunyasono, Umujan 400 and something. 400 and something. Yen oba be fia konya so near ya trako be 3000 in fact enom pempo en komo ya wudi yi ready heavy the power
Nkomo ni o de
Ukraine ewo Europe na say ewo Arab na wen
Ukraine or Europe.
Okay,
Yes.
And Russia so wen
Russia or Europe.
and ye all you do one na fa Europe said the papa kai no
Exactly.
it is sabri na Ukraine you Russia kuntokwa no na oye no Ghana use one na ya fa Ukraine ya fa Europe
Kasi ya fa free or Europe.
ya fa Europe okay sabre no in the year 2022 oil equal $121 per barrel. $121 per barrel. Media minimum yentia ya papa president onim say ye oil dodo na no ye fa Europe na Arab knockout kitwa bi tu ye wo ho ya o say ebunye radio na oil bobe kosoro
indication or the ma I mean African leaders nyina
and ye Ghana yenka ho
including Ghana
because ye dey fire dey fi Europe say da papa ikan ye ya ye bres won ntokwa esi Russia ni Ukraine no na ohoda da ye fa oil ni fi enti uye dey ye beka enti da mabo oil ebo $121 mini ebe eti he also move for inflation fee 54 of da na move for inflation fee 54%.
Number 54.
Obo 54
2022 54 and
Sabri no
power no but even 2024 no na about 23
and I may patch you say 54 no Germany inflation echo highest in the last 70 years. Sabri no na UK what to be some prime minister to be your prime minister there at the year you 2022
yes
Russia and Ukraine in Tokwa Sabri no na COVID the kaku and then COVID in ho and na Israel any Iran to knockout kakra bi
knockout no more
knockout no moto knockout no moto and to say Russia and Ukraine na nipa mienu Europe omuti ediesie ni when you say you know more
so mama me na me maintain komo we mfi ho mesa ba oni honorable Betty so na ye ni enkomo na Andra the Ghana Armed Forces issue statement or say Ghana battalion position in southern Lebanon comes under missile attack enti eno a statement Andra womo buy but yenim say Ghana asrafo dodo na no a ye station womo ewo Lebanon no part of United Nations womo program amo dey ensure say Lebanon I mean asomdwe mapa ebeba ma many the head of information and public affairs ma Ghana's permanent mission ewo the United Nations eni nkomo anope na ye misa ne say I mean there akoso ewo UNIFIL I mean the camp of United Nations in southern part of Lebanon, any dear Endra missiles alcohol asra for a yedio kodi ade no. What is the impact ewo sa dwumadia wo mo ADN eso? Mame Nuan Fallon ewo line so mene no any enkomo. Pacha otimenka good morning empom to say.
Good morning, me pacho meto nka apomuye. In the situation of this attack on Ghana's battalion, I think that first of all we should understand that this is not the first time something like that has happened.
Okay.
We have had occurrences in the previous years. But not to dwell too much on it because this is a very high security issue. Once the information comes, we've put the information out there, right?
Yes.
We know that some of our people have been injured and at present they are receiving treatment. There is due process to escalate the issue to the international body for them to understand what has happened and to also offer their support in the way that they can. However, we cannot put so much details of such a high security matter out there in public. We will wait for the Foreign Affairs Ministry to issue more information where this matter is concerned, because you do not want to compromise anything. But I think there's already a lot of information out there on the matter. The armed forces have released a press statement.
Yes.
They've given a lot of information in that. But going forward, we should also know that once there is insecurity in that area, we can all be affected in different ways.
But once Ghanaian troops are involved in this, I mean, as permanent missioner, more representing Ghana at the United Nations, when issues of such nature ever up, I mean, what is the procedure? How do you go about it? Because Endra, Foreign Affairs Minister, said, I mean, he has triggered to the point where all my UN are aware of whatever that is happening. I mean, how do you handle some of these things?
So when something like this happens, of course, you have to inform the top, right? So the trigger comes from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Once that has come, we also add our part and then we take it to the General Assembly, you understand? So they have to be aware that such a situation has occurred because this is a UN deployment that was over there. So unfortunately, I can't give you too much information.
Very well, but the assurance
are done internally.
Yes, the assurance you can give us, and it's so far. I mean, fatalities by more prepare no obia a stable condition more. I mean,
yes,
those families that won't back home the okay.
Yes,
receive
treatment. I think they will be fine. We are all hoping that they will recover fully. So far, thank God, there will be a YIE. But there have been some injuries and they are being treated. They are receiving maximum treatment and we're hoping that they will make a full recovery.
But on the corridors of the United Nations, what is happening in the Middle East, what is the general economic impact you and I discussing? I mean, some of the happenings are here, who's saying?
As for economic impact, I think that when issues of this nature, geopolitical tensions, begin, the whole world will feel some form of impact. Usually, a bonfire say the impact will be mitigated so that any too difficult. I was listening to Riverson, and he was talking about the fuel situation.
Yes,
all across the world, since this particular conflict started. Even in America, there has been some more than 11% increase in fuel.
Okay.
I also heard Riverson say, and this was something that I felt because he made it clear, say, in a different country, who say fuel, akosro pa. But in Ghana, no, you're lucky, say, you mentioned, I think it was trending around 12 cedis.
Yes.
And he said that was a good price. You understand? Because if even in America here, now the fuel per gallon was below $3. This whole situation started, across the $3 mark. So, Yabompa say, situation no, it will be contained as soon as possible. Now, consequences not be firm, and yet too difficult. But I also think that so far the Ghanaian fuel pricing has been handled very well, and in fact, now me pese me bo abai abaso say. So far, we have experienced relative stability where the fuel pricing is concerned. Since NDC bar power up to today, we haven't seen any uncontrolled movement of fuel prices. The prices have been stable and they have translated into the general standard of living. Previous gentleman, Okasa earlier, I heard him say in Ghana for soon there were issues. I don't remember his name, but
Alexander Kwasiakwa, MP for Akimoda.
Oh, I see.
Yes,
I understand the submission now. But Minia, made the 2025 Ghana at the Mao. Now made the 2022, 2023 Ghana at the Mao. Which one will you pick?
That is for the Ghanaian to decide. But I mean,
Ghanaians are the final say. What kind of standard of living are Ghanaians enjoying today? If I take you back to 2022, 2023, the situation was terrible. Even before that, he was excusing inflation, I call up to 50-something%. Yes, other countries also experienced high inflation. But why was ours so hard hit? His own economic messiah can answer that question.
Okay.
Because our foundation was weak.
Okay, so I mean, just to wrap it up with you, though, what is happening in the Middle East?
And then I will wrapping it up when I'm talking about the 2023.
Just speak on.
Speak on.
Yeah, so I mean, there is a rep. I mean, on government side, I think some of these matters, are being responded to. But I mean, on the international front, what is happening in the Middle East? Are we going to see the United Nations? I mean, try to see mediation ebetime aye juma just to ensure if we are seeing economically, I mean disruptions enkonkoye so high up to the level beko.
So as for mediations now, I started it at that.
Okay.
The moment that the war started, the Security Council they've had several emergency meetings to discuss this matter. So far, there hasn't been a formal mediation between the parties involved.
Okay.
But there has been closed doors. They've been actively pushing diplomatically for a ceasefire, right? The UN Secretary General, he has strongly condemned the escalation of military action from all the parties involved, and he has called for more understanding, complete ceasefire. There's been emergency meetings held about the conflict. They are discussing a resolution.
Okay.
And how to further engage the parties involved in a way that the major powers can agree to a de-escalation of the situation for all of us, our benefit. Mediation is definitely going to follow strongly, although we are dealing presently with informal mediation efforts.
Okay.
But it is our hope, yes, I mean, other countries have even offered to facilitate the dialogue between the countries, the warring countries. So some countries are very interested in the mediation efforts. It is our hope that the situation will be de-escalated as quickly as possible.
Okay. I mean, once you are in the US, the Obeka to Ghana for Endra, We celebrated 69th anniversary. Na yemfensi.
Yes, 69th anniversary. Yes, celebrating. In fact, no, I made the part because when I checked online, I even asked on my Facebook, say, Eban is saying, "Ena independence anniversary way, I am very exciting." Ama Ghanaians, because in the past, sometimes independence, everybody will be excited towards the independence anniversary. But what we have seen in previous years, nobody, there was no spirit of excitement. As Obia, I ignore celebration, even as early as just 2 years, 3 years, 4 years ago, you were not really feeling that form of excitement. But there's a renewed spirit of patriotism.
Okay.
There's a renewed joy in being Ghanaian. There's a renewed hope when you look at the manner in which the economy is being governed, how we're being governed and how the economy is going. There's a renewed spirit of national unity.
Okay.
And these are not my words. These are some of the answers I received when I put the question out there. Young people have new hope in being Ghanaian. There's a new pride in the exploits of our president, even internationally. And Ghanaians have a new sense of joy and pride in being Ghanaians. We are all very happy, and it is my hope that we will continue to find good reason to celebrate being Ghanaian. You also see that the cost of celebrating independence alone, in previous years, we understand it was upwards of 20 million. Today, that cost has been slashed down to almost 1 million Ghana cedis. If this is not prudent handling of the Ghanaian purse, I don't see what else is. It is these little savings at the end of the day that matter.
Very well.
And I think that I'll just use the opportunity to say Happy Independence Day, belated to all of you, to all Ghanaians. And thank you so much to government for continuously giving out good governance and proper economic management. Unlike some people, economic measures, we did not see the translation into the improvement. I'm a Ghana for
very well. I don't pay Yedase, and greetings to the mission at United Nations. We are highly grateful for your time. I don't pay. All right, and that is the head of Information and Public Affairs for the permanent mission representing Ghana at the United Nations. The SC in southern part of Lebanon, and I don't pay Yanino at the Eho and Como. My memory also, what do you want to see briefly? I'm
diplomat who have politics. But you say, I'm a diplomat who have politics. But mean kind of say, the economic messiah no, no cano. 2022 no, that fuel 121 per barrel. Yen kaino. And no inflation e kosa. If ye ne say fuel no enu sa. Na we will say mo na mo say the Iranian economy ni ade a. Ye kapo say entokwe en course wo Europe. Senya no pay yati nchire mu no say Ghana ye oil dodo no ye fa fi Europe. Na you man can be state of the nation. President Asimo Akai, I am pleased to announce that we have signed a memorandum of understanding with the Jubilee and 10 field partners to commit $2 billion to additional investment in the Jubilee field. This would include drilling up to 20 new wells. There's a second memorandum of intent with the OCTP partners to commit $1.5 billion to additional investment in the OCTP field, the Cape 3 Point Block 4 contract area, among others. This agreement will significantly increase Ghana's oil and gas production, thereby enhancing energy security, domestic demand, and infrastructure development. Another paragraph. As you all know, the Tema oil refinery is back.
Yes.
Of course.
The new management of the refinery has successfully completed extensive turnaround maintenance. And I am pleased to inform this August House that for the first time since 2018, the refinery has commenced processing of crude oil. Let me assure our countrymen, President Beka we or Parliament, the state of the nation. I'm on record to have said, say, Santo Kwa Ekos way, and Yadi ebe affected Ghana, yo. What? From what this from what?
Yes, but so what's here, Dr. Riverson? Was it 13%? No, Krana, you won, and you refine it through all. And what it means is that you were over 60 to 70% of importer yet to show up. I mean, the level of demand and
the president, I'm my friend say timelines are.
But I do a future project.
A future on the president of our state of the nation, the future of the Bakari. Let me say, the current state of our nation. Don't know the future. But young fan 200 young man for who say Russia, the Ukraine, and talk anwa, omo boy, and also me and Mosubium, na yen two bomb free Russia, and Metuhano. Nay, Europe. Dr. Rivers say, a hot and Ghana, your oil do one if you back. Iran, the year came money, I don't know. Ye few what to do. And so I no kakranu 2 years. President said we should brace ourselves up. It is a no anya hwedia. I didn't see the way the baby at the time
baby because Iran no a major player. About OPEC. I mean, we are seeing Maya a trading in oil. Iran no a lot of say when it comes to that. And you know, definitely. I mean, World Bank, how do you call it? World, benchmark values are you did determine crude nebo no, and they are affected.
Is that not the same principle? Is that not the same principle now? And what Russia and Ukraine talk anymore? Then it's our principle, no. And we have the president. We see, come on, it has a way of always bringing us back to our feet. Na ye the air cost wankasa. What I say? Nanka president who forbid the waswa. He can't ask me and ye. But ONUA no opposition or see and can tum. Now the communicators now boy and so near deno. And ne I told ye Juma. Yes, I saw about to do to more oil fields near the Impono. President said we should brace ourselves up.
Okay. How about now see for my mommy?
Me see for no. They may can say, Yam Peneso and Tias say oil no. And Tokoi, and the oil no home send beba. Yam Peneso, and Tiasia. Or mine ya running in ye. Or mine is a boom. Economic indices here, Papa. The beer in one of my higher journey. Yes, I took the air force so. And the oil born air from petrol born air call from yes, I took the air force so. It won't mean my catch them and say, world prices air cost right. I know the I told me for so. Wow, the same thing. Every cocoa as a mean. When I'm say, yeah, the woman and some fata, or more, one can say, or more cry, or more cry, Yakurao. Munna Moki Casa, after buy up the world price. That's as a Ghana, or your 200, ya near Hosa.
Let us say,
never be no, Yamu didn't in our world so. We are not, after all, an island.
But not the Unim.
We belong to a global community. We belong to a global community. We belong to a global community. And it's as if we say, the economic measure, send a diplomat and back I say, or no buy any other. Abra, Sabreno, now oil price 2022, no, $121.
Okay.
And they do say,
let us say, Honorable Alexander Kwesiakwa, Anna, what's in come. I remember the Honorable Betty Sunamintio, Honorable Mamintio on all these matters. Yabubobo, so the any expert no at the home come about the fuel prices. Any baby a year cause say.
Kwame, Medawasibio, me say what to anamompa by bringing this in fact, well established experts. Our munimde say woman brambe kasa enfa ne ekoso ewo wiase afa nan na ne saya me den say amanfo na where experts now we invite woman nye foreigners woman ye Ghana for emba woman so no ne affect ye hina as Ghanaians no woman so in one way or the other no affect wom it is omo ye so wanu asem through our intelligence, through our experience, no mutimi my analysis be a say so far so good. Now we are hoping for the best. So I actually say I think say generally no Ghana for na kasem bako. We have one group of people a dear one more supi enita say ye papa expert nisi say you day you one dear baby omujina na no mujina. And say na minia kwesi kasa no okay, said president gave the State of the Nation address, which is excellent fact. Prospect in terms of oil prices, the president in his wisdom was giving us as at 2026 war and going forward. Nasa Iran US Israel war even though
President Kasewe the next day
na mpo besin da yegusu kase your oil prices fuel per liter at the pump there's still 11-12 cedis.
Even as Granajo, it was Guel was selling at 10 cedis 50 pesos. But
if we are talking about State of the Nation there, let's just say papa only in Troy and they are not inflating figures and also omu fire they are no enkosi boni. Ni omu can say say has panelists no going forward no ye ne ekos wo wiase afana na e den na yeji de say betumi aye de enya nsoso e economy so and generally minia senior expert ne kan ye no even though Ghana ye wo crude bi and I say ye produce some level of oil wo Ghana senior president wo saka ne ato no osaka ye say buy your consumption oil like you use about 70% is imported. Into that ye manufacture now say refine Ghana it's less than 30%. That is what the gentleman said. Into if we are really going to look at the world market and our global market near koso, let's just say near koso Iran US and the be affected because we are part of the global economy. Benya, what's reading now share international news in the Kosovo. Yes, say there is a route be that is one river way and waterway be one friend the Strait of Hamas.
Yes.
No, transport to over 20% of our crude. The issue is on demand and supply. Minia, say Australia, any other countries, no air struggler, put pressure on even the European market, which presupposes said the baby yen so you fire all uniform prices bed, demand and supply. It's immediate and some bisano. Now mesre minia MPP for any minority in say what Ghana for your tour baby you focus on what the government is doing. Say you are doing trebia the better buy na manatimia to us akon ni mabo mine na ye na instead of say best and ye can so mo na mo ka asem be we e na ye we e na yampene na mama ye say ba ni say be because say ni am can say at the time my president Emma State of the Nation address how much was our but in your campaign assembly papa ye kwame question wo say ye say kwame question wo say going forward a global crisis here air cost here a bit many so a war a economy yes but I think about me person who say prudent economic management taxes with say emission tax a few and under normal circumstances make me cost na add it to the price of crude if I talk in America taxes now oh now also into the president by 20 budget 2026 budget no the Ministry of Finance said they are all this they term them as what unnecessary taxes are emission e-levy betting tax if we said the Ghana for bet me
nobody ever paid emission tax in Ghana.
Let's stay focused question.
Nobody.
President
nobody.
Atubeka and man says omu debating who challenging
nobody.
When he was stated in the 2026 budget to say we are removing emission tax. When he stated say we were removing the e-levy, betting tax and emission tax, I didn't hear you debate on the floor of parliament challenging there was nothing like that. It allowed me to have my space. When you were talking, I didn't interrupt. Into Mr. Mame Kasa.
Mami nti honorable Betty be
ya baby ababedru and mahomete say even your military base at Lebanon Kwabo has been affected. ama and the Ghana form mapper I don't call for UN mission crampon and then big I don't why they aka then now one way or the other it will come with cost.
Okay.
And which infrastructure and run me reading news be in terms of the airspace travels because of the air cost so Israel friends Iran into they have to change the route and the possibility of the cost of price your friends air prices will also go up. Nina your issues are affecting now, but we are confident in the your friend said the management of the current economic team. What GDS say there is that level of stability in the country. Say be from a big boy and go see it say na first no ni akwa say atente wuro no na me na kwesi ka say o kan say was it knockout ni na kwesi na me slow adia ekoso wo wiase no eyade bia we should put all seriousness to it eya hometse eya ahreho and eya asefem so we be gina eya national television now we can say eya knockout I think say it's an unfortunate statement me pacho is an unfortunate statement and I mean ya enkwala emma e wo school ya drop missiles am enkwala ewu eya ma minimum ewu soldiers free lives have been lost, properties have been destroyed. Now so we can now friend say knockout I think say it's rather unfortunate. Okay. Let's focus on the matter or the subject of discussion. Here we say, Ghana is not living in isolation when it comes to the global economy. However, we have confidence in the economic management team. His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, so we manage the baby and stability. The first cedi to dollar rate, inflation, na. You say, and from market here we so yen to say senia maybe so yen na yen to me control your market kra na inflation to me could do 54 na Ghana for ye the esu come na me nua your friend say Sam George or say ye duane die no 010 what did you once a day and I am a proud mother and I'm very proud to say 010 no any obio we can go for 111 which is 3 square meal a day. Yes,
I want to make that say Dr. Hayford Mensa Ayakwa Achin Namemana Kwaba, senior lecturer with the University of Ghana and a senior fellow with African Policy Lens. I don't pay what I say. Doc, good morning. I'm Pom to say, Osaya economist. UG Boko there.
Amiado, UG there, Aja. When we say now number 1 in Ghana, number 1 in West Africa, and sit in Africa. Tiyeguso. Okay. We are trying to compete with the global champions. Yeah.
Very well. And see, this is a very important discussion I get having. Now, the Iran, the air cost between Iran and Israel plus the United States, very important, say, for a fact, Reuters are reported say, we are seeing Iran produce 3.5 million barrels of crude every day, 3.5 million barrels. Out of the 3.5 million barrels, which is over 4% of the we are seeing crude oil are producing. And a major stakeholder. Now, 1.7 million barrels out of the 3.5 omoton edema ewiase. Then the akano omonso etime eyiso. Mainly omoton de ko Asia, China, India, and then the rest of the Asian continent, countries, and they benefited. But the Iran, Ababe subject for discussion, straight of Hamas or ASEM, and no international route, ship hodua, efa oil, no free Iran, and they call Europe, any other part of the globe, a Honda ship no do na no enam. And say in real terms, you can say a quiet dance you ship no do na no edi crude oil no efaso. Yeah. Now, Sabiana ship no efa no blog. What it means is that ship ahodua akofa crude oil from Iran. Omo ko supply dia ma ewiase amaya akani nyina no blocked. Omontimi nko omontimi mba. So what it means is that no blog. Now nko no in a day over 18 to 19 million barrels of crude what different ship move and find that route. Yeah. What it means is that supply chain blocked. Globally, so these are facts and not conjecture. Mami Entio on some of this happenings AC on the globe.
Well, Medase speaker, yedi kama memfa yako mabusuafo won adehye ahwaka ewo Lebanon sebe okoye se okoboa e de asomdwe aba and
yakode na chese we free yes
no and you can say
I don't know but
yakode or something we pray for speedy recovery for also a buying country. We pray for speedy recovery for the affected soldiers and the ones who have been traumatized. Yes, sir, I debate on one. Now, I can say, you're a speaker. Near Kosono, and maybe I say non to Kwana, a Kosono. Is there any so great to say a Kwako, a Nimdia technology, science, and a Didijuma. And into the logistics are what they said you may idea advance. The fire by names of Madikaka. And it's Iran is working on its nuclear plant.
Weapons, yes.
Now America to say Iran nuclear or in our on the plant now or the hujumano or the bear weapon. Now a bear threat to everybody in the world. And America is #1 threat. And into ma my 1 year. Iran for said there be the Abuama is a peaceful establishment to improve on our energy levels. And we are saying so are reliable. In fact, even in Ghana, their conversations say we should consider nuclear as part of our energy mix. And it's something which is going on from country to country. Except say, because Israel and America are strong allies. Now, Omakwaye Omaya at that Middle East ho na omone other countries no answer that nyadwe no e can Israel I can America and I can America I can Israel and Israel becomes an entry point for America into that region and so that's whole geopolitical ekoso but senya ukaye no about the routes ships ahoro e de fango faso na yenyina woche ma obi ansa ka bi whether in Asia or Europe or Africa the 20% every ho efasa lane no so block is saying has strong implications. Of course 2 weeks ago fuel price was not selling for 12 cedis or 13 cedis to the diesel. It was less. Yes. 9.99, 10 point something. But as a result of this, within 2 weeks now, we've already seen the implication. I think, sir, for me, and I agree with, I see the angle that Honorable KUSI is making, and I see the angle that my sister is also trying to make. And you see, in the past, Yate, and I have been attacked personally, say, Makoka say, the economic implication of Russia-Ukraine war on the Ghanaian economy. In the same way, there are economic implications of what is happening in Iran on the Ghanaian economy because we rely heavily on imports. And these are major routes some of our imports come from. And so once we are not self-sufficient on refining our own crude, now you rely on refined crude from other parts of the country, we would definitely be affected. And so I am looking forward, say, as a country, I have listened to the our strategic reserve. Reserves say akobasa how many weeks are you rely fango boy and brow and they talk about 5 weeks. Was it now num? This now 9. I mean, last week was 5 weeks.
5 weeks. Yes.
And next is a baby 4 weeks. And for me, because 4 weeks nobody will in another. Now imagine say over sorry or my wuni fango out the go okay aquajuma and now said trotro benya afa enipa aquajuma. It has implications on a juma a bit me a private sector be affected.
But here Dr. Reversina or say a I mean far-fetched yenyen drew ho because one maybe a yedi no do na free bano and Iran. I mean we pick it from Europe. And then again, Dangote is just standby from Nigeria. When you said Dangote, refinery a lot of the crude no or refining Nigeria. And even when it comes to the African market, our capacity say obetimia supply, just that a buono and a better because or the VRC drama so bo and a better one.
That's said Russia, Ukraine in Tokano. Like they bet Yama say enough for credit. Zasugabwa.
Exactly.
And it's about saying enough for credit. As a gun in a fuel. The bois. As a gun in a fuel.
And the speaker said,
and Dr. Bomia, Bomabaso, said Russia, Ukraine.
And yet, my doctor and Casa Waka would dear. As I will can make to you. Because now I am mobile. His Excellency John Ramani.
Yes, me too.
Me fale go for the infamous. Na we are trying this dem PPD so. Enti minia ye ba oman mu a e be de so ka se wose ye nyaye de no fi Europe. Na Europe no munya free.
That's it.
Enti ese enye linear equation. So point A to point B nti ye fa free. Wo ba bia wo ko fa free no. On so fi fa free ba bi. It is a ho ka wo ho a ho beka. Ebo no kosoro ho a ye ho beka. Na krom ha me see so a me sha se mani buye se abofra sabre no na owura kwasibotwe ena na finance minister mete ye be kan budget na obi adi mirika kototo ne ma bi se ye kan wie ya anima bo be kosoro ade paako a emma anima bo kosoro man mu aya factory obi a eye fangobo enti fuel prices e ka obi a whether we the average person or the high end person e ka obi a enunti mesre Sani maisia nyesi ye na yetrase na ebisa ye ho se so dan ye betumi aye se oman because satema oil refinery yakwa kwa and we come back to the same conversation every year. I mean we come back to the same conversation. I think say for me this should bring out the conversation. What can we do sustainably? Na boase ebia at least 50% of our domestic consumption no ye benya free ha menye yetu crude no bi wo Ghana ha den ti na yentumi emwa na yemfa investment na enhyemu na boa ama saa hochire ebi enkoba in the future. But again speaker wonim say eba anyinama hode a ye di djuma o manyimu a efa kese na nso gina fango so
yes.
And we are not just talking about day-to-day consumption. We are talking about power generation. So, anyama holding ena yehia edi aboyembra private sector ehia for manufacturing, we here for electricity generation, we here for all kinds of things. But another important thing, over here, is sunny near so our Middle East flight arrangements be brave are affected.
Yeah.
Enti ebi ma ye cancel flights. And over here, yen gold are ye to Ghana ha. Dodo na o share data na Middle East.
Yeah, United Arab Emirates.
And yede yen gold eko. Enti se yetimi anya mfaso afi yen gold mu, afi etwa mu na aboa ma yetimi aso yen sidi na asese na ye kana. Then we should be concerned if he said baby yede yen gold okon. He say ehonyo. Enti it has destabilized a lot of things. And we are likely going to have drops impact on our gold prices.
Okay.
And that has implication on our Ghanaian economy. And so I'm expecting, say, beyond all of these engagements, we will begin to think around not just as one activity, but all the tangential issues. And nema found na ebua ma yetimichechiro mine ne kwakwa na eye ene enipa bebre Ghana fo a wo bo wo mbra e wo UAE. I mean, Middle East.
Yes.
And to Qatar, Oko UAE, Oko Saudi Arabia, Ghana for Bebre, especially artisans, Nipa Oyo on Sanu Numa, Aobo. And last year we got a lot of remittances. If you are on a buy, if you want to buy, and as a result of Nieko Suintino, one, jobs are going to be disrupted. Enti yen flows by way of remittances ebe fisa emiai aba se oman na abeso abusuafo ase no is going to be affected. And the impact no there is multifaceted.
Okay.
And yeah, back na ka so ya so we anu nti no esi wo ho a. Me so say we have gotten to a point we need to learn to admit say ebia emri bi etwa mu no. Na ebia of course in the heat of campaign obeka nia ebeto amanfo asomu. So we have experienced it. And I don't think, sir, the NDC in opposition didn't know, sir, there was an impact of the Russia-Ukraine war.
So they lied.
They knew. But of course, it was election-related issue. In the same way, I don't think, sir, MPP currently don't know, sir, near air cost has implication on the Ghanaian economy. They know. But I say, what do you hear me? Enya home fast or dear. Me so and me time about me the bayo na me so menya home fast. But going forward, na me DC from no speaker. Me feel say Ghana yen ena yebre in the long run. And inti we need to have a deep. I mean, we need to depoliticize this conversation. Na yen build a country yen yema ene yenananom. Remember, ebia enye yebre so. But in the next 30 years. In the next 50 years, we will say Ghana will become a net exporter of refined crude. Na abua ama saa niyema yi ebi ko si da chia ye ho ansa nchire bi.
Okay, let us say Dr. Irakwa now Edu Kingston said, good morning Mr. Speaker, this war matter is serious and the earlier the government put plans in place the better. Johnson Ando the Graph said, good morning to you Mr. Speaker, please tell the government to inform the ECG to exercise patience with cocoa growing areas. They are cutting out the light, which is provoking a lot of people in rural Ghana. Thank you for a message or the Abba. Peter Yeboah said, black man mindset. Hear what the man in your studio is talking about. He's so excited about Iran-Israel war. What happened during COVID-19 was just mismanagement. Thank you. Isaac Owusu and said, good morning, Speaker. Please don't sound political, madam. Continue to be neutral. Okay, I'm sure, sir, you are referring to the diplomat. Isaac Owusu answer, or say too political, madam. Okay. Emeritus Kwabena God's love, sir, who is this woman? Quite surprised about her utterances. Okay, thank you. Joyce Danoba Ediaba, or say the man don't have any better subject to discuss with us. He's so happy that Ghana is going to face crisis in the energy sector. Umessenger with the Abano. Joyce, thank you. Coke Rezin Ediaba, say good morning, Mr. Speaker. I'm watching you guys in Doha. God bless you and your team. Such a good discussion. Thank you for a message. You know, meba a year honorable Betty so na maban ho na Betty on so before I be wrap it up. Na ye dear free a year yen common. So inflation no aba be drew a year 3.3. I mean target modema from the last quarter of 2025. You are expecting say inflation no should have been around 9.8%. From November, October, November, December, we saw say inflation no EBT ebedu 5.8. January, February. Now, by end of February, the Ghana Statistical Service is telling us clearly inflation abba drew 3.3%. Say ye kasa no pay. The general impact on the economy, any the eba across the world, is this something a no ebitimi a sustaining? And why is it set reflections no enshada emma ya Ghana for the duana kase still and yema bo eda so e was true in terms of one more asset na.
Yo, Kwame Benase, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, I mean,
I say, Mesa Fasa Kwenya West Namabo, a economic management in Nabaso. Any extraordinary worker, 1 more year, Ede Boa Ghana mine. No making sure said there's some level of stability in the economy. Womabo Homo de Pa, baby, or Mofa, or mine, if year. As at late December 2024. Na inflation and number bit to say 23. Na egusa economy yes I sign it. But through a prudent management into and yet to me I recognize say inflation and declining by 3.3. Media sa kwenya we me de palm nokre ade some level of stability aba.
Okay.
Gone are the days aminia nanka ubeda benyane no na wonye sure say what is the next price of commodity on the market. Usuro na wo yema hyew say ene kroma make akoto niam yi sika na ekita me no ebeso anase enso na ayem hihye bi eden ewo ho. But this time around there's that level of stability say ye engine to mu say enema prices ayeden aba form krampa ye wo gidie say na ye turn ndra no ene so ye kwa prices near eden ewo hosa no kra omni say through my personal experience no me who say stability na affect more on our imported goods because currently the importation the import inflation no say back down to 0.9 cry say the impact is very good. I own a corner shop. Na me corner shop no aya me to money and one that kind of stuff no eto na kwame 2024 hono na friends November December na ukoto a small bag of rice, that's 5 kilo bag of rice kwa when ya krabe 170 Ghana cedis, and then through this prudent management no and then one bag of rice 8 million number 70 Ghana cedis. I think says so because we are not having the effect of the decline in inflation. Many nipa no enya drink completely. What I have observed is say most often you locally produced goods no and I sometimes I say you to me entity and no so because of probably the cost that goes into producing some of these things. And abaya otiso no eso to turn niema ye say ne be ya wo mo beboa ama local goods no so ye benya no ama na bo ho ebi ni ti say wohwe program aban dia abaye nkukọ nkitinkiti a just so ye betimi a produce more chicken and eggs na ye importation and na say ekwan a ye fa so a ye nya sa nyama no ebe ma cost na ye den aba form inti all in all no me hu ni say aban no e bo ne hu modern pa we have more than 35% of our local consumption are here importing. Into say no yetimi are observe and I say there is an absolute decline in importation, that's inflation in unimported goods. I think say all in all we are making some gains. I say you are buying a baso. Now ye mum ne ye hwe kwan ye befa so a consistently and now continuously sa benefit ye begu so enya amagana for ina enya ho emfaso.
Okay. I'm Rouse.
Just clear. You see, politicians, yeah, in Kofota, I can say, inflation figures, and who fast what bang and the war Emma woman for bra and reflect what my brabo. One more year before what economic background that shall say the way your inflation economy. Enche ebi ebedu be zero gra because nyaka ina no say yenche ne figures no na yemfamra na Ghana for eninje hwe ade ba ko a me de betu mi nua no mo ndisi for the for say ye the free SHS buy the impact was very very physical, tangible. We could quote numbers of enkrofo na omaye affected positively by free SHS. Many about here as MP, Sika a car no bo. I was secondary school for whom you are doing now. A sutay. No, most I can be. What did I come as some as a malcazon? As a carugus, I don't answer. Wouldn't ye inflation was Yanka free SHS, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Rawo, subject of discussion, inflation, and yes, a free SHS. Because the government intervention, I say His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, ASR free, no stress free entrance fee at my universities, and also a idea, and you relieve about Amagana for. Into your focus on inflation, patcho, young call, they use school free SHS, I mean free SHS, no, Namusuchia, Twasso. Ye tangibly no ye nkofo a FSHS affect you positively sabre no enema bia na nka ya ban ye de behwe nketenkete no ye ni fi so na ya dwe nyina ne so ye de FSHS abanko ade o se Ghana fo agi etu ye kan ese FSHS ye kan ese FSHS na ebufu a na wa manfo mu no ya ngeji ebi eni omode yi ye kan mo se inflation ye kan mo se dollar ebufu a wa manfo mu no mo fo mani ni ye kire. Look, politician here, what the other say you have come to better the lot of your people. It's what you at the end by we say open figures. Now they are tiwanim. Ewa madone na mafo hunu say inflation ko for no money here. Ye JDM, His Excellency, or the bebo na baso, not their kofie, but the obedi beja NDC party no. Any omo dia on the besa by election bi no. Ebe ye te say ne yewra Danado Danko Kufuado, Eddie Free Searchers, yet in Eddie Aswano, and so then yet if inflation, and one fast swap bang, and I hear what, and what ye, Abra, and then Oko baby a yedomo, Oko baby a domo, Obian one more local rice. Ubisa one more, almost said last time, no, not a boy near 1,400. Sabri omati sumpo aba 700 still obi anto adenti dollar no ama imports are cheaper like you clearly stated and admitted say neno yama dollar no ama imports are cheaper we are killing our local industries enti emubia wo bia do be 5-6 years for abrochimemu na buy soda say no na yakofa ba be Ghana na ye di gu ye local industries nano na meka first cashew local cashew ya mo edigu plastic mini no na manfo epepa enne import ayi chipenti enne wo mo moto American groceries mini ade no cashew no container say so cheap iti wo mo aye toto
cashew ne bo aba form
o say
cashew
ai
abone border so was
me patch that said the foreign one imported ones no
okay
the imported ones no aye very cheap iti local ones no aye bre eye wa hase ni ade no eda obi antibi nto
agwasi me kai measures a abai dia gu akwan mu se de be ya local produce no so benya samfa so no eno so kan was
measure bayin
kan was
measure bayin okay wo se kokko ketekete
say credit your friend say interest on credit you know
no be
oh so that's a program afa no mo asha say ya
enti da wa hefa
na ro say ubisa say nkokko nketenkete wo hefa Ghana ni be bisa say we are rearing for food and jobs. I mean, clearly, say, and no, yeah, sustainable by now. Nanka hu hiam posenke belanche nko konketingeti. The average Ghanaian should be able to ask that question as well. But I'm just saying, say, program na fail ya lunch. So by measure, no, enya idea you bet me quantify impact in say.
And me patch say, na yesi di biegum. President buy, you know, an announcement of buy, yes, 720.
I was watch your bets.
And Coco 720, watch your money, 13,000. And Coco 720. And Coco bets back 720. Yet me Germany 13,000. And the nano make us say, honorable member, honorable member because say, Mr. President, Yesu, Nebuchadnezzar.
2 loaves of bread.
Say, your president, if he is to boost your comedia, and then possible. So this 720 bets. And the chairman, 13,000.
And yes, 720 no kind.
That's what I heard the president saying.
Check record.
Sana Mr. President Taker, Mopa Momiamo, 720 and Kuko 720. Your chairman, 13,000.
720,000 and I
said 720,000. President is 720.
Check records.
You see, at that moment, in the president, Gina Hono, and your man now work hard to do one man. And the so Coca say you're creating 1 million jobs. More president statement in the speech, so more should be now more president form. He may mean well, but more here my fair than you because I didn't say any one more, but Ghana Fontias here. Men fat figures near the man right because you see, I didn't see what's with him. What's it with him? It is a one more cassa, inflation from anyone here, I don't know. But you work off you. Over from place.
Oh, they say they be they say full of wild abafo. That's why we ignite indicators nothing. We need to psychologically prepare ourselves.
Yeah, maybe I can't see the say. Inflation who name fast walk. Abra who to me my yen kasa ya bra bomu. What they say? So who release this car? Yeah, so now. Koko akuafo a yentua omoka so what chia koko akuafo ka e ka sika na omo won koko akuafo omunye sika omutibi disika pa masika ye de enko omo be disika manakum o ja se mayi ade de bawe e na sika ni krom mo so inflation na die na ye enfaso die ben e na papa What do bank account to TV woman? Not comedy woman. Papa, what to do bank account woman? Me credit here come out. Yeah, they now so what had the attitude. And there will be to be spending. Or be any card was spending. You entire year. Who will come net just a 34 attitude. You come with inflation. How relevant is inflation if it doesn't reflect in our lives, daily lives?
Because wouldn't say road contractors cry yet me to about 10 billion. There's money in the system. Why really a economy a friend so nano? We have bet 2 over 24 billion on a friend road contractor. I buy it to 10 billion. In order for SCAP to be in the system. It's all about how say who could me SCAP for market. And then I MP before.
Ankasa can say a car net that on your 42 billion. Oh, 42. And then after I come 24.
42.
No,
but say 42 no what you 10 billion. Money circulating in the system.
What
the last time I talked about this, they bear 4 billion I think with me.
No, Kwesi.
Agree.
Get the facts right. Also get the facts right.
Agree. Last budget. Agree. They only released about 16% to say of the budget of Agri. The whole year's budget. It's figures that Modi bring right here now. Modi you and me too fool.
Yes, but a buying is or ye prudent spending. And there is a mechanism, finance minister saw there to acquaint. And that is that is what we are told.
Don't bring it.
We ministry now open so award the certain contractor. First of all, as I see who say there is funding for that particular contract, and so our contractor open so award a buying or capacity say who award we are obetime tuaka. At least
government is always the biggest spender. Government pushes the economy. Government is the one that revitalizes the economy.
Exactly.
It is a buying society in Mubaria. That is why we call money currency. It must flow. What I say? It is also Musanwa. None of the sectors works. So you are able to control your inflation.
If you guys were doing anything good, Ghana for one time, you would Ghana for to buy anything. What to buy His Excellency 4 years? 1 year and why prepare a economy? No, I'm a near my stable. Say we are ready. We are at the what? At the take off. I near my bed. Ever to talk. It's 2% within 1 year. A banning year and near my 1 to 9 years in 8 years. At least the indicators are clear. Maybe announcing that the indicators are clear. Inflation, the stability. Your friend say $60 rate above for fuel prices above for near 1 to 9 years.
$60 rate. Pump
just 30 seconds.
The kind of amount of money I'm pumping. It show up the city.
Yes, but I don't need a deliberate policy. You could have done same, but why?
No, because any prudence.
And you don't 17 citizens.
The first time you could not give them the right prices, and you fake dollar rates now with the buy. Dollar rate between 10 to 12. Come on. Let the market forces play.
No, but is that not what the average Ghanaian, not all ask for? Last 2 weeks or so, maybe say a dog say, what is the most preferable exchange rate a developing country like YIE, SSA have? I mean, any casting stone say at any point in time, force say inflation be back single digit. But a DNA considerable at the Mayania, say at this point, say you achieve this level of exchange rate. It is good for our economy. A bit more production, more importers and so
on. China rates, China's currency rates too, that of a dollar. The Chinese doesn't concern itself with the weight of its currency. They say me produce. In fact, with that I'm here. Oh, by the 12 more. Make sure you get my currency. Ghana they always make sure they change the Chinese currency. Yen efforts are in industrialization. 1D, 1F. Abayi by Osbatwegu. And then Abayi on 1D, 1F, on industrialization.
Okay, that's all. Messabas no wrap it up. So, Doc, my member also na mean to inflation and
interest of credit.
Miniano, and that the say, Betty, wouldn't question, what show you so Speaker, inflation, dear, or might be macroeconomic stability.
Okay.
There is always a difference between growth and development. What stabilize here, as I said, it may trickle down. Na enfasua, as I said, timamufoni nyano, on satumika. Na eho, ena there in nyema bi wohwa, affected timamufo directly.
Okay.
Especially when it takes things like utilities. Entina, I am passionate when it comes to anyama issues because it will affect utilities, and once it affects utilities, the other utilities money say on your issue one bulb, no esa say only sika be high no ani fie no control intino. If you nyina e bia dan ho be 20. Obi a issue bulb we into be kan bomu no ma cross the lifeline consumption mark no. Enti na they apply commercial rate to them. Enti the poorest of the poor are actually not benefiting from the lifeline consumption. So I think say, it is important say, as economic management team, they'll begin to look at how or measure which areas no bet me aboa ama nipa eti o mainumono anya homfa so. And I agree with Betty and of course Honorable Ekwesi say munyina moy honorables say yanya careful the impact by way of effect of inflation. A lot of them is driven by the import inflation. Because as a result of say the nema ye krefia manone edeba omayimuno ama ebo no abafam. Hwe me ekweni mabusuafo ye kwiafo. Make us say just last week papa bi a minimo no ewo oti retired agric officer of friends doctor momwa mi ona me doye over 300 bucks is for
Ebro is all over.
Ebro, there's a lot of Ebro about system.
So, reason and saying here, is it the case your foreign taste, any preference?
And here number one, already you were high preference for foreign taste. And here number one, Sebi, the perception is that if you consume and you may feel baby you are a better person. Means that you are living a good life. Yeah. It's a mindset which needs to be worked on. In the America, I say consume made in Ghana, but the engineer sustain is a campaign. And but again, production cost on your all producer cost of labor at the time. Even though inflation I think we need to clarify say and not just say enema buono eswate. But the rate enema no buono esano eswate. And it's inflation here 20%. It means that there's a high likelihood say the price changes would occur at that rate. So 3% and this are then 20 cities and then just say buono it means but at the same time also no income levels have really not changed too much. So there's a baseline. These rates are calculated against. And if the baseline was 100 cities, or no by day now offer their more than 150. So 150 na so because inflation boy from 150 na be a bit me 155. At the same time obe be calculating nyina de bebo mu no ebia na obetumi atwan mo bag back or ebia 500 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
What the toto ho na se ode toto nia ya krafia amano ne ba ye na. Wo se eno no bo no e bia be cheaper. Already na nkasa se wo di nia wo fi abrochire ba ya. Minimum crofo of so we di abrochire de ntia papa. Ghana de ntia papa, but most of the time Ghana de no only nutritionist na kasa. It is healthier, more nutritious. Nkoko foes are yet all my na ya one antibiotics 5 weeks old 6 weeks old in koko na ya one na why na tie na ya ba so akoko tre da wadua so afo say uti yare nko a and we are wondering why yare horo edokro yen. I think say for me say it me stabilizing niema and we commend the government for doing that, but beyond that I still believe, this is my personal opinion, say, our economy is still volatile.
Okay.
If you say as we are seeing in the Middle East, we are at risk of losing a lot of the things we have gained in the last 1 year. And so government must pay attention to supporting local industries. Yes, it is not enough to say we are giving fertilizer. It's good. But what happens? What can government do? At a certain competitive price. Now, strategic storage. Let's see what you say. Oh, a chair soon as you to me in Cranima Mobile Mumpua. You were feeding for 6 months. That for me should be the thinking and the conversation. And I don't think government alone should be left to have that conversation.
Yeah, but Abanai can say, yeah, build silos, right? And definitely now, I mean, some of this
it is there. Silos not started in the previous
110 million or in buffer stock.
It is true. This has been going on. In fact, the previous administration started building these warehouses and silos, which is good. I don't know how much of this has been sustained. And 110 million cedis is a lot of money, but it's a
President campaign promise no car say me baba headmaster ho na me disika ma no akwa masa madwom no akota ponche no ato we mu ni ade nti buffer stock ade ye adwuma no ade no enye adwuma biom ye disika be ma mo afi ade na bo sesa no aka se zi enkoto bi
ma me responding to question when baby gone are the days na yenkwala etimi free school bafie because there were no food in their schools.
Okay.
And that story, and we are able to sustain our children in our school, and you know it, and I know it. They want and the prudent system at two there was the president can on the manifesto no dinner platform so kind or do say they and that's challenging any
Yes, just 30 seconds to 1 minute. Wrap it up, Mamina Yenfensi.
Yameka, Emma Ghana for Hina, Aje Atuma, now Matieni say. Yena Yenya Gideus could be His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, any the economic management. Any team, no, that is the governance system. No credit say, Mimi Ghana near Mitihe. I am witnessing and I'm benefiting the impact of it. Yema one more time. The indicators are clear. The near more to acquire and that's now Dr. Eke. And you say to me building a strong economy, send a bear and young from a ball a year, friends, your economy and near my day and I pass. But no the economy makes me now not Ghana need ordinary Ghanaian. Yamidi Tato Cranny said me per se million question any MP before Mutiemi when they say we have moved out of the timer. Now would then now we must show say the make prices I had and that is the difference between the NDC and the NPP.
Yes.
And I can't give you that. And say, oh, Sikani be hompo. Now be kojum. Now be kona buona sampo kabeda nyamiase. And then we need to come no kojum. Tu won so da epo so be kojum. And we say ejaso man to ha. Omso obi ametade. That is the kind of economy we have now.
Oh, that is
the kind of economy we have now. I'll say, I resonate with my people. The Minko of 4 can say, if you may say, and Yema I had I came on that for okay. Take a second. Why? What
say near Echo so especially in the Middle East, media in Sunsono, Ayabomihu. And the message say as a matter of urgency, nipa dear both from the minority, majority. I mean, first and foremost, we're Ghana for. I'll wait to me abua, I did and share any identity. Let's reach out. Now, form a strategic thinking group be buying to strategize ahead of.
But there's an advisory committee
to
Ghanaians. Ghanaians. Reach out to Ghanaians.
Okay.
I bet me am poor.
No,
very well. Mamina, the Honorable Alexander Kosia Kwasi, the ticket of the New Patriotic Party. Dr. Mensa, senior lecturer with the University of Ghana, and the Honorable Betty Crosby, a former member of Parliament, and the good people of Afram Plains. We did a Kwame Apia Kubin Pacho Shannon Song. Sir Juada Ekusi Fiada Ubeshiame ewo ONUA FM 95.1 ewo yensempa jumedie so anopebia na afei so bosomi media general ONUA TV ONUA FM yetuasi ho se eye Ghana bosomi enti yede efreno Ghana village ede aba de bia obaha activities ene jumedie ahodoa yede cheche Ghana bakwasem ene Ghana yenema yeye anadebia yede bro bosomi kwa KUSI na wiye enti make sure say debia no won cry ene ne mpatemu a obetimi aba TV3 ONUA premises na one yen abeka bom na fei Ghana month ene Ghana bosomi no yetimi celebrate in a grand style me dey Kwame Apia ku mame na production team ni nyina no ase adomdom ye ne a da sene yebesanso ne wahia ewo kawasem ye so Eduada mayenhia ewo radio so bakra mo nyina good morning.
Hello, me Ghana for you. I'm on able to say UK, Europe, Canada, USA. You usually learn 5 money transfer app no. Edi sendi sika edi call Ghana. Abibrada eni debrada no. Any afufron so obabe should learn 5 app no. Edi sendi sika edi call Ghana. Learn 5 se min kanji nyina say. Sisi sika bi a obe sendi edi call Ghana. Say a year 50 euro, 50 pounds, $50. Learn 5 se min kanji nyina say. Obama what? Cash back. Na se imposa o send the bros and so len five so ma what cash back ewo bosumi mu what I say mini say your first time and I should learn for app no e dey send sika dey free amanone e dey akọ Ghana me so be what me referral code no a free man now also enjoy what first time sign up bonus ewo sika obedi kan asend e dey free amanone e dey akọ Ghana. Minu say we should learn for app no e dey send sika e dey ko Ghana obi ante ohwe obi an charge bibia e free minu entina ho e ma akonya wi empa ho kika ho ne fa phone no ko Play Store ni App Store ne ko download learn for app no so start for use for send sika fa ko Ghana na sisi ano learn for app no bia use e dey send sika e dey free money e dey ko Ghana now also enjoy reward any promotion learn for eguso eye anase odi beba abribiada eni debiada eno ani nyina yesu e de send sika e de ko Ghana. Let me say me can say send more, save more and win more.